Welcome to another edition of Behind the Meal. On this episode, I'll be talking with Chris Culak, Vice President of Development and Strategy at Visiting Nurses Association of Texas. VNA oversees the Meals on Wheels program for Dallas County, Texas. We'll discuss the importance of legislative advocacy, VNA's long history in Texas, and providing services beyond just a meal. I'm your host, Dave Colling. All this and more coming up on Behind the Meal. Hello, and welcome to Behind the Meal. Join me as we delve into the stories behind Meals on Wheels, meeting the incredible people who make it all happen. Today, we've got a great guest, Chris Culak, Vice President of Development and Strategy at Visiting Nurses Association of Texas. VNA Meals on Wheels provides home-delivered meals to seniors in Dallas County, Texas, one of the top 10 largest counties by population in the United States. VNA not only provides a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly check-in, but has services and staff to assure the health and well-being of seniors throughout Dallas County. Thank you, Chris, for being here. Can't wait to talk to you more about what you're doing. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for
VNA and the community that you're serving.
Sure. So Visiting Nurses Association of Texas is a 91-year-old healthcare social service agency. Got our start in 1934, back during the Depression, providing sort of healthcare to kind of the most needy folks in the North Texas, or really in the Dallas community. At that time, it was really nurses going out and visiting new moms and their kids. We morphed into a bunch of things over those past 90 years. At one point, we had a really large home health program. We, at one point during the AIDS epidemic, had AIDS clinics and provided care to those folks. And we've kind of moved through that sort of continuum of support and care. And today, we provide, as you mentioned, we provide Meals on Wheels for Dallas County. We are one of the largest programs in the country. We do about 5,300 homebound meals each day. And then we're also we don't operate senior centers, but we make meals for another 32 of those. So it's about 7,000 meals a day coming out of our kitchen. So that's a heavy lift. But then we also regionally, so all throughout North Texas, so there's about 16 counties we cover with end-of-life care. And so it's palliative and hospice care, and then pediatric hospice services as well. So that's who we are. That's who we are right now.
That's you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot.
Doing a lot, yes.
Yeah. What? Tell me a little more about your role specifically there at VNA.
Yeah. So the way our organization's structured, again, because we're so large and we have this it's a weird agency, right? So most meals programs that's what they do. They have ancillary programs that run off of the meals, but typically it's Meals on Wheels of X, Y, and Z county or area or whatnot. We're a little different in the sense that we have the Visiting Nurse Association. The meals is a program of, and so here at our agency, I have a counterpart, a chief nursing officer. She handles all the clinical stuff, so all the hospice palliative care, and then really everything else is mine. And so the managing director of our meals program works with me. I have a development office, fundraising and communications and advocacy office, and those folks work for me. So it's really, Olivia has all of the clinical stuff and I have everything else.
That makes sense. And the primary recipients of your services, seniors, individual disabilities, as far as the Meals on Wheels programs go, do you expand beyond that?
Mostly seniors. We receive Title III funding, Older Americans Act funding, of course. And then we also receive the Social Service Block Grant Title 20. And so here in Texas, that it can serve people that are disabled, but the vast majority of our clients are seniors. So some people are covered by Title III, some people are covered by Title 20, and then the rest are covered through community funds or fundraising. And really our average client is 60 and older. And so it really is senior population in Dallas County.
Sure. And yeah, in their Meals on Wheels program, you're serving specifically just Dallas County.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 1,000 square miles.
Not that you need to serve more.
Two, 2.8 million people in one county. Yeah. So it's a good, it's a lot. I mean, we serve a lot, but there's a lot more to do. So
Yeah. Are you saying, would you say your senior population been growing roughly the same? I mean, I know I did look up, I saw the population of Dallas County, unlike a lot of other counties, is growing in itself overall.
yeah. That's a great question. It's interesting, Dave. So in the city of Dallas, which is really the largest city in
Mm-hmm.
Dallas County, but there's 26 cities in Dallas County, which is weird. They're smaller, but
Mm-hmm.
than Dallas, of course. But in the city of Dallas last year, the 60 and older demographic had the highest number of people move to the city of Dallas. So if you
Oh,
looked from 0 to 100, that 60 plus had the largest percentage growth. And so it's interesting in a sense. So we see that primarily, I think it's because people maybe are moving closer to kids. They may live somewhere else and moving to Dallas because their
mm-hmm.
children are here. We are blessed to have an amazing healthcare system here in Dallas. There's a lot of good hospitals, a lot of good clinicians, and so forth. So that could be part of that. And so it is interesting, though. Yeah, the senior population is definitely growing.
I think of Dallas City. I don't think of Dallas County too much, but certainly we're all familiar with the city of Dallas. If nothing
Sure.
else, the old TV show, but
Right, right.
uh,
Yep.
it's I assume the county is mostly, if not all, urban. Are there any rural spots?
There are some pockets of what you would consider rural. Most of it is industrial. Most of it is
Hmm.
urban. There are some pockets that are a little further south of here, south of say downtown in the core, smaller towns that have 20 or 30,000 people. But then there are some rural communities within that. But for the most part, Dallas County is urban.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you mentioned earlier that you have your own kitchen
we
making
do.
meals. Do you
Yep.
have any outside caterers or anything for specialty meals, culturally specific, anything like that?
So we own our kitchen, we own the building and all the equipment and so forth and so on. And we partner with Trio Community Meals. So
Mm-hmm.
they come in and they're the kitchen operator for us.
Mm-hmm.
We do a number of we've started maybe a few years ago. We do a little bit of the medically tailored meals piece. The congregate feeding sites, they generally get a little different meal than the home delivered meal sites. It's all funding and so forth, but for the most part, because we make so many,
Sure.
it's challenging to sort of make pockets of this many here for that person, this many here for that type of demographic. So
Mm-hmm.
we are moving in that direction, though. That's certainly the future of meals programs, is you have to sort of adapt to what your clientele is going to want. We want to provide a meal to someone and knock on the door and check on them every day. But we also want to provide them something that they're going to eat, right?
Right.
It's that nutrition piece of that. So we are moving in that direction. We're kind of in the beginning stages of that, but we certainly are going in that way.
Okay. And what's your volunteer base look like? I mean, how many volunteers does it take to deliver 5,800 meals a day?
It takes a lot. We have about 300 to 310 routes a day.
Wow.
About half of those routes are delivered by volunteers.
Okay.
And then the other half is delivered by in-house staff, paid drivers, part-time people that deliver that. Our volunteer database, last time I looked, it had 10,000 names in it, but I'd say on average in a given year, you probably have a little more than 1,000 volunteers coming out and volunteering for us. There's a good number that volunteer once a week. There's a good
Mm-hmm.
number that volunteer once a month, and then it kind of goes from there. So yes, we have a very strong volunteer core. It's just because we have so many routes, it's hard to cover all of those with volunteers.
Oh, of course. And do you work with a lot of organizations with volunteers, for profit, nonprofit, government agencies that help, take a
All,
day here, take a
yeah,
month.
all of those, yes.
Yeah.
So a big part of our volunteer core are individuals, right? People just
Hmm.
sign up and deliver. But a really kind of more equalist part is groups. So groups within a church or groups
Yeah.
within a company or whatnot that maybe have 2 or 3 routes a week, and then they kind of trade off and people come out and volunteer. It's their turn kind of thing. And then we have probably in any given month, I think we average between 7 and 10 what you call days of caring, where a corporation will come out or a group will come out and deliver 100 routes or something like
Okay.
that. So we take those away from the paid drivers on those days, and volunteer groups will come out and do that. So we have a good combination of individuals that are just independent, and then you have groups, and there's individuals within that deliver those routes, and then we have those kind of one-off, as you were saying, delivery days where a group or a company adopt a day and they come out and deliver a
Hmm.
certain number of meals. So
Yeah, we see so many of our volunteers about getting, sometimes the same age as the folks delivering to, or older. But
very much. We have that as well. I think it's it's interesting. I deliver a route once a week,
okay.
and I pick up our our offices are in a building that's across the street from our kitchen, our kind of corporate offices.
Hmm.
And I go across the street and get my meals, and there are let's see how many routes. There's probably 30 that are picked up at the kitchen itself. The rest of them are picked up all throughout the county. Half the volunteers that are picking up are in their 60s, are
Hmm.
retired, and this is what they do to support their community. And so, yeah, you're right. It's interesting. You have a lot of volunteers that are of the same age as the people they're serving.
Yeah, the same demographic. So you
Yeah.
kind of got a spoken hub sort of system where they're going out and
Yeah,
to
because
pick up
Dallas is so
sites.
big. Yeah,
Yeah,
because Dallas is so large, and honestly, the traffic here is not great. So all the meals are
even
made.
at noon.
Oh, it doesn't. You know what? It doesn't matter anymore. Saturday. So all the meals are made at the kitchen, and then they are trucked out to I think it's 21 different drop-off sites.
Okay.
And so those are then dropped off throughout the county at different, a lot of times they're rec centers or community center or a library or a church. And if you're going to deliver meals in far South Dallas or far north or in some of the other cities like Garland or Irving, you're going to pick up your meals there and deliver. And so the trucks will drop off meals at those locations at the same time they're delivering the congregate meals.
Okay.
So then they kind of sweep back around and pick up the coolers and head back to the kitchen after that.
And they're being heated up at the site.
So the congregate meals are, yes.
Okay.
And so the other meals are all in, you cook them, you put them in the coolers, they go to the sites.
Okay.
By the time people pick them up, they're still hot and they deliver. So
It's a,
it seems to
it's
work.
a fast process.
It's a fast process, you're right.
A lot of hurry up, and then every day, same thing. That's
Yep.
great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what are some of the other things that VNA, you mentioned a little bit when we first started talking about some of the other programs that VNA has, and maybe more even legacy programs. There's a way to look at them. But, how does it all fit together with your Meals on Wheels programs and that you're doing?
It's a good point. So again, we provide hospice palliative care overall all throughout North Texas. And one of the things that we've tried to create is a little bit of a continuum of care for our meals clients. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're on meals, they all need health care and they're all going to the doctor, as we all know, all the time. And so a big part of what we're doing is during COVID, as you mentioned earlier, unfortunately, that group misused those funds, but we received a few grants from both state and county kind of thing. And we were able to stand up, at that time, we were able to stand up a core group of community health workers, and we still kept them. And their role here is as we're delivering meals, as we're looking at all of our clients, we're identifying those. Some of that's done by eyesight and delivery. Some of that is done by some of the healthcare software we have. and looking at which clients really need a knock on the door outside of the meal to kind of do more of a home check. And then, so we're going in and you're doing a home check. Community health workers are going in and doing that work. They're assessing them for maybe healthcare needs they have or other community social service needs they have, fall assessments, the whole gamut. If they score a certain score on a scale that we created, we then refer them to our palliative and hospice team, who then go out and do another assessment. And sometimes those people come on to service. Sometimes they go into the queue to follow up with. But we're really trying to provide, of course, the meal, of course, that daily safety check piece. But as we identify clients that need it, it's important for us to then obviously use our own services to provide even more care.
Yeah.
We do that as well. So
yeah, so it kind of in a way starts with that meal delivery, but it could go well beyond that.
Yes, I you know what I've always found interesting. I think that Meals on Wheels here or anywhere in the country, in your Minneapolis or anywhere else, it's interesting that more and more groups are now sort of figuring out that we're the entry point into the home.
Right.
And so healthcare groups and other social service people with that are constantly working in, great missions to serve the community or great missions to provide healthcare. And it's a challenge with our population, right? It's sometimes challenging to get them to go to the doctor. It's challenging them to get to use or follow the protocol of medication and so forth and so on. So really, to me, meals is that entry point. So when I knock on the door tomorrow of all my clients, they're going to be happy to see me. They're going to be happy to visit. Sometimes they're like, come on in and, do this or that. There's not any other program in the country that could stand itself up today that could do that. And Meals is really that one program that does that. So we recognize that. And so we want to sort of leverage that mission-based piece of our business to figure out, hey, who needs the healthcare side? And so that's how we've sort of merged those two together.
Are there outside organizations that you partner with too, potentially to bring folks in when they need help?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of, we probably have a list, I think it's 30 or 40 different social service groups and healthcare partners where if a client needs some type of a service or needs additional connection to maybe a food pantry or connection to a clinic or connection to home repair or ramps or any of those things, we have kind of a cadre list and we connect them to that. And then we sometimes they go on their own and do their thing, and sometimes we shepherd them through the whole process. So.
Okay. And speaking of outside organizations, I see that you are also chairman of the board of the Friends of Texas Seniors.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that. What does the state program do?
Yeah, so we have a pretty active state association here in Texas, and there are two agencies. It's odd, but this is how we set it up. There's Meals on Wheels, so Meals on Wheels of Texas, which is really the membership association where it's about 80 different meals programs in the state join that. That association holds a conference every year. There's a lot of sort of connection and sort of ways for people that are in the business that we do to be able to connect with like-sized agencies. And so there's a lot of convening in that regard. And then we also advocate on behalf of all the meals programs. And so because of the rules of law, you have to sort of divide up your advocacy dollars versus your sort of education and your sort of other funds. And so Friends of Texas Seniors, which no one ever hears about, so I love that you looked that up, is really the lobbying arm for Meals on Wheels Texas. And so my role is to manage. We have 3 lobbyists that we work with in Austin who help us from a funding standpoint. There's a numerous number of grants the state gives out, and we lobby on behalf of all meals programs to have pieces of that. And then we lobby, of course, same in your state. So obviously Older Americans Act funding comes to the state, and then the state gives that out to the AAAs. The state can add dollars to those funds, right? Can match or give funds to that. So we lobby every 2 years is the way our session here in Texas works. We lobby on behalf of getting that sort of rate increase. And so in the last session that just ended in June, we were successful in getting an increase in a particular agriculture grant, which is
Mm-hmm.
really great for a lot of
Sure.
programs. And then in the session prior, we were able to get an increase in what that common rate between what meals programs receive from Title III and 20. And so those are really the primary things we do. And then we educate our legislators on why meals programs are really the kind of gold standard of delivery of meals.
Yeah.
Versus some of our friends in the for-profit business that want to do drop shipped meals.
Right. There's the for-profit ones. Sometimes they'll drop a meal, and that's the beginning and the end of their service to that senior.
100%. Yeah. And here in Texas, it's mostly hot all the time. So, you're dropping a frozen or whatever it is, chilled box of 50 meals on somebody's porch, and then you're expecting that 70-year-old person to drag it in and put it in their freezer and do whatever. So there's no personal connection. So, we feel like meals programs that knock on the door and talk to people is a lot better than a UPS driver.
For sure. Well, that's great. I think there's a lot of Meals on Wheels programs around the country that kind of miss out on a lot of the opportunities that state legislatures have that they could be taking advantage of. But it's good to hear an organization like yours maybe is a good example of what other states could follow.
Yeah. I think we all do, right? We all focus on what happens in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
That's because that's really the noise you hear in the news, right?
Right.
All the bills and just what just passed and how Health and
Or
Human
what didn't
Services,
pass.
yeah, that like how Health and Human Services is behaving and so forth. But I think really programs should first look locally, because your county and your cities sometimes do have funding, but it's your state that is the ones that receive all that funding and can decide how to spend it in certain areas. And so lobbying on behalf of programs like ours that knock on doors and feed people and keep them out of the emergency rooms and keep them healthier and so forth, I think is important. And I think there are a lot of states around the country that do a really good job at doing that. And then there's a lot of states that I think there's some opportunities for some gains.
No, I think that's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
What you mentioned a little bit with the city and county. What kind of work do you do with city and county governments in your area as well?
Yeah, so for us, for a number of years with the city of Dallas, we have been a partner with their Office of Homeless Solutions. So a lot of cities operate within their city system, a kind of a department that sort of manages and deals with our homeless neighbors. So we work with them in making meals for a lot of their sort of shelter programs. We did a ton of that work during COVID. And then we do a lot of work with them during inclement weather. So it can get super cold here sometime. And so they open a shelter and we do work with them that way. County is really more grant related.
Sure.
So they obviously receive federal and state and their own funding that they then grant out to organizations that do work like ours. And so we advocate on behalf of that. That state grant that we receive from the Texas Department of Agriculture has to receive a match from the county.
Okay.
And it's a small amount, but it's sort of a skin in the game kind of thing. So we have to lobby and advocate on behalf of that. But when they see how much money is coming to their county and how much many people will be served, it's usually a check the box kind of thing. But I think there's certainly opportunities across the country to engage in that. And then there are a few cities in Dallas County where we get community development block grants.
Okay.
City of Dallas, no, but some of the smaller ones, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good to know. I mean, even here in Minneapolis, there's always every time we talk to somebody, it seems like at the city, there's always another thing that we didn't think of before. Like, oh, we
Yeah.
could be working with you on this. We could be working with you on that.
Right. Right.
And you mentioned the matching dollars too. It's, you hear that so much. Like, well, we don't have the money. I'm like, no, but somebody else does. If you will agree to do this, we can get their money.
Correct. Yep.
So yeah, for sure. One of the other things I saw on your website that I was interested in, I saw this Meals on Wheels teen board.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that. What
Yeah.
kind of work they do?
So, we always are looking for opportunities to really engage volunteers at any age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Team board is now, I think it's now like 13 or maybe 14 years old. And
Okay.
it was
So the teens that
really,
started it now are in their 30s.
oh, what now?
The teens that started there, they're now in their 30s.
Correct, right? I mean, they are. And so what's interesting is it's for high school kids. It is a way for them to join. It's a teen board. It's really a group or a club kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they will actively come out and deliver meals. We have throughout the year, every month is a meeting, and we usually bring in speakers from different agencies that talk to them about hunger issues and sort of community issues related to the people we serve and people that
Yeah.
that need service. And then we also partner with a number of other social service groups where they will go out and volunteer for a day at a pantry or something like that. And really the idea is to introduce to them that that not everyone is as fortunate as they are, and not everyone sort of has the ability to get out and get meals. And it really sort of creates an understanding of our issue. And
Sure.
it really then, we hope that as they get older, they will continue to do that. My daughter was in our team board and is now in college and does some volunteer work at a pantry where she goes to school. So I'd like to think that, I'm sure it was her dad toiling her to do it, but I'd like to think that she will help. So
At this point, though, it's all on her.
it is all on her. You're right.
So, how did you get involved? What started you down this path of the nonprofit?
So I went to a small school here in Texas. Well, it was small when I went there. It's called Southwest Texas or Texas State. Now it's a pretty large one. And I got a degree in health administration. And that was in the early 90s. And when I graduated, there wasn't very many. It was kind of in that lull of jobs. And I learned for the American Heart Association. And they called and they said, hey, we've got a job opening and we'd love for you to, take it. And it's in Dallas. And I was like, well, I think I've been there once. I grew up in Houston. So moved to Dallas. And for the last 32 years, I've worked for a variety of nonprofits. American Heart. I worked for the food bank for a while here in North Texas. I did a little work for Planned Parenthood. And then I did some work for National Audubon Society. There's a large nature center here in Dallas that I managed, and then made my way one day. Made my way to VNA, and I've been here for 11 years.
Okay.
For me, I think healthcare, to have an organization that has both of those pieces is super intriguing to me, and it's been a great run, and this is my last job. So,
oh, that's it's great when you can find that.
Yeah,
it really is.
yeah.
And I know this isn't affecting Dallas necessarily, but as we speak here, it's so much talk about the flooding that's happened in Texas, and all the organizations that are involved in that process. Is that affecting you at all? Are you sending folks out, or is there any connection there?
No, I mean, there's the connection is, what I think is really interesting about this tragedy and this flood is we hear about them, like we hear about them all the time. A lot of times they're localized. And this one is certainly that.
Yeah.
The challenge with this one was that all those children that were at those camps, I know 3 families who lost children because their kids in Dallas were there. And so that's been a lot different. It certainly is in a certain part of Texas that everybody knows. Everybody knows Hill Country.
Yeah.
Everybody's probably been there. But what's made it much different is that it has impacted people all across the state because they had families or kids or people that were vacationing, right? It was July 4th. So
Right.
people were down on the river or people were at these camps. And so I think that's what's been different. So for us as programs, we VNA have not done anything necessarily other than I know we've had a few clinicians that have sort of taken time off to go down and help with the recovery effort. But we as a state association, we did set up a separate sort of funding mechanism why people could give gifts to support the meals programs that have been affected in those areas.
Oh, sure.
So there's a number of them that got flooded and can't serve right now. And so there are a number of the ones that are in and around the area that are okay, that are sort of picking up from where the ones that have been damaged can't serve. And so I've been supporting that work. But I think what's been really interesting about this is that it has affected so many people. It's kind of hard to go through certain groups in Dallas and people not know someone that was either rescued or didn't make it. Yeah.
Wow. Looking, end this on a higher note here.
Yeah.
But looking kind of at the future of VNA, what are some of the initiatives you would like to see put in place, and what do you see for the future of the program? Not just Meals on Wheels, but all together.
No, so I think the future for an agency like ours is that, its relevance is a huge piece. You want to stay relevant in the space that you're in, and you want to continue to be significant. And if you do those two things, then success will follow. So for us, it's really about, number one, in Dallas County, there are about 50,000 people that are 60 and older that live at or below the poverty line. So those are people that can be served by meals. You and I both know that half those people would be like, I never want it. I don't want somebody to come in my house. I don't need it, that kind of thing. Right. So now we're at 25. And so a big part of our strategy is how do we get to that number? And how do we get to that number, not just through us, but through other partners and making sure those seniors are covered. Yeah. On the healthcare side, it's really, as we all know, as sort of healthcare is shrinking in rural communities. And so Dallas, Fort Worth, Dallas and Fort Worth are huge. The counties north of those two cities are very populated. But then when you get to the outside rim, it's not. And so you have a lot of communities where access to healthcare is becoming less and less. And so our goal is to really not just provide care within that core population, but to really grow and provide at least end-of-life care in kind of more rural communities where access to that is not as readily available as it would be in Dallas.
Sure.
So, yeah.
No, that's great. Well, if there's folks out here that are listening and they're inspired by your words and your work,
sure.
How could folks get involved? Whether it's volunteering, donations, advocacy, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to start would be to go to our website, vnatexas.org, and there's a variety of ways. There's a little button that says "Get Involved," and then it has all your options of being a volunteer or joining in and supporting one of our programs or making a donation or whatnot. So I think for anyone that's listening to this and certainly interested in coming and visiting with us, that's a good step. I think anyone that's listening to this and is sort of like, what, I should probably look into my local meals program. It's pretty easy to nowadays to Google that and pop it up and really reach out to that group and see how you can support.
Well, I hope we can inspire that to happen.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, again, thank you for your time. And this has been super interesting. It's always fun to hear what other programs are doing, especially programs like yours that aren't just delivering meals. Not that that's not important, but it's always good to see those wraparound services that are happening too, and hopefully can give others ideas on what they can be doing.
Yeah, I really appreciate the chance. I've enjoyed the conversation.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much. And we'll hopefully have you on again to follow up at some other point.
Sounds great.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
You.
Again, thank you to Chris for spending some time with us today. I think so many programs around the country could benefit from more advocacy at the state and local levels, but for so many, it's difficult to find the time and the resources to do it. But as we heard from Chris, and we know from talking to others, those long-term relationships can really pay off in the end. And as always, if you know of a Meals on Wheels program you think others would like to learn about, please send me a message and we'll try to have them on the show. Please share and subscribe, and thank you for all the work that you do to make your community better. Thanks. Bye-bye.